Hello, my dear students. This is Teacher Evangeline of Woodrose International School, and today let us learn about the Potsdam Conference of July 1945.
The Potsdam Conference of July 1945. A second conference of the Allied leaders was arranged for July 1945 in the Berlin suburb of Potsdam. However, in the 5 months since Yalta, a number of changes had taken place which would greatly affect relationships between the leaders. Stalin's armies were occupying most of Eastern Europe. Soviet troops have liberated country after country of Eastern Europe, but instead of withdrawing his troops, Stalin had left them there. Refugees were fleeing out of these countries fearing a communist takeover. Stalin had set up a communist government in Poland, ignoring the wishes of a majority of Poles. He insisted that his control of Eastern Europe was a defensive measure against possible future attacks. America had a new president. On 12 April 1945, President Roosevelt died. He was replaced by his Vice President Harry Truman. Truman was a very different man from Roosevelt. He was much more anti-communist than Roosevelt. He was very suspicious of Stalin. Truman and his advisers saw Soviet actions in Eastern Europe as preparation for a Soviet takeover of the rest of Europe. The Allies had tested an atomic bomb. On 16 July 1945, the Americans successfully tested an atomic bomb at a desert site in the USA. At the start of the Potsdam Conference, Truman informed Stalin about it. The Potsdam Conference finally got underway on 17 July 1945. Not surprisingly, it did not go as smoothly as Yalta. To change the situation further still, in July there was an election in Britain. Winston Churchill was defeated, so halfway through the conference he was replaced by a new Prime Minister, Clement Attlee. Clement Attlee was also a leader of the Labour Party 1935 to 1955 and became 3 times leader of the opposition. Disagreements of Potsdam, Germany. Stalin wanted to cripple Germany completely to protect the USSR against the future threats. Truman did not want to repeat the mistake of the Treaty of Versailles. Reparation. 20 million of Russians had died in the war and the Soviet Union had been devastated. Stalin wanted compensation from Germany. Truman, however, was once again determined not to repeat the mistakes at the end of the First World War and resisted this demand. Eastern Europe. At Yalta, Stalin had won agreement from the Allies that he could set up pro-Soviet governments in Eastern Europe. He said, "If the Slav, the majority of East European people, are united, no one will dare move a finger against them." Truman became very unhappy about Russian intentions and soon adopted a get-tough attitude towards Stalin.
Thank you so much for watching and listening. I hope you enjoy and learn. See you again next time. Goodbye.